Clarity on Fire, a podcast for people who know what they don't want out of their life and career, but aren't sure what they'd rather be doing.
In a world where it's easy to exist, but hard to feel alive, we, Kristen
and Rachel,
2 certified life and career coaches, are here to help you cut through the information overload, get unstuck, and focus not just on how you can have a career you're passionate about, but how to create a whole life that feels fulfilling.
So join us here, where we serve up inspiration and down-to-earth wisdom in a way that only 2 best friends can.
We want you to experience the relief of knowing that, yes, you're allowed to want more out of your life and career.
And no, you don't have to wander through the dark anymore. Our job is to light the fire that shows you the way. Let's go. Hi.
Hey. We've been teasing this announcement for a couple of weeks now, and we're finally going to tell you what's happening.
That's all this episode is. It's just an announcement. I mean, should it have been more? No. I do what I want. This is something that we've been talking about doing for probably 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
I think so. I think it's probably 2015 we started talking about this in some form or another. And
every year or so, we bring it up again. And we're like,
amongst ourselves,
we need to do that.
Then we never do anything about it.
That's what happens. So in order to make this time happen, we got some help. And we'll tell you about that in just a second.
And we didn't even go seeking it out.
No, we didn't.
This is only happening because of one person who took initiative. And then we said yes. So there you go. There's a good lesson in that.
Yeah.
Okay. So we are starting a community on Patreon.
Yay.
Okay. Here's what that is actually going to mean. If you're not familiar with Patreon, it is a platform that artists and content creators can sign up for. And then in times of old, I'm going to get on my art history soapbox here. In the Renaissance era, for example, people who you have heard of, like, I don't know, Michelangelo, which was not his actual, no one actually called him that, by the way. That's like what we call him now. But anyway, they didn't just sit around creating art. The only way that they could afford to do that was because they had patrons, people who paid them to make stuff for them, to design the Vatican or to paint the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel or to make David, etc. So I'm not comparing us to Michelangelo, but there is, there is a patron creator relationship. That's what Patreon is about. So you sign up for Patreon, and there are typically tiers. I'll walk you through the tiers. And for a very small, usually amount of money every month, you get access to the creator's content. And there's all sorts. I love Patreon. Kristen and I are members of our friend Madison Jones' Patreon, and she's an astrologer and a tarot reader, and we love getting her stuff every month.
Let's link to her if we can in this episode description, because she's so wonderful. She's
you can also just search Patreon,
you can.
Madison Joan, and you'll find her. Or Clarity on Fire, Madeline, you'll find her there too.
I know we've sent a lot of people Madeline's way, and I like that.
There's a couple other podcasts I really like that have, or like YouTube creators who have Patreons. And so we're joining the ranks of Patreon, and we're going to have
2 ways that you can join us on Patreon. 2 tiers.
So you can check them out. Well, I'm going to explain them. You can always go to the link in the show notes. You can go to patreon.com/clarityonfire. And there will also be a 3rd way you can access it is we're going to have a tab on our site called Community. And you can click on the Community tab on clarityonfire.com and you can join there as well. It shouldn't be that hard for you to find it. So there are going to be 2 tiers. I'm calling them the Spark and the Flame because I needed a name for them and it's cute.
And we got the whole fire theme going on.
So the first tier is going to be literally $3 a month. And this is kind of like our tip jar is how I'm thinking of this.
Yeah. If you love the podcast and I know we've had a few people who just want to support us because they love the podcast so much and they've asked. We haven't really had a way for them to do that.
Yeah.
Well, this is a small way to do that. And you do get some additional bonus content from us.
I mean, whenever we're not going to keep to like a bonus content schedule or anything. Like we'll just put some bonus content out, which might be podcast episodes. There might be other stuff like downloadable stuff that we put up at random. Then you'll get access to any bonus content that we put out. And then also it's just like a virtual, like, hey, thank you every month. The next tier, which is, there's only 2 tiers. So the other tier is a $6 tier. That one is $3. The flame is $6. That's where the community, so you get the bonus content and you get access to our community stuff. So that means once a month, there is going to be an hour-long Zoom hangout. I'll tell you more about the one that's coming up in March. Hosted, here's the fine print, not by Rachel, by Madison, who is our community ambassador and the reason that we actually finally decided to do this.
Yeah, huge shout out to Madison on this one, who I hope many of you get to meet because you're going to get to join our community and meet her every month in our community sessions.
So sessions, that sounds like, I don't know. It sounds either gross
like hangouts. Should we call them like
professional? And it's really neither gross nor professional.
Definitely not gross. Definitely not professional. Hangouts, is that a better term?
So I'm going to tell you more about what's going to happen in this month's. But Madison has been wanting us to have something like this, as many of you have, for a long time. And we've wanted us to have something like this for a long time. But the effort, it felt like, at least pre-pandemic, I think the lift that it seemed like it required was so huge, because it also seemed to be like, it should be like every major city should have a Clarity on Fire meetup where people who are fans of us can meet and hang out. And that sounds awesome. But also that's a huge project and that's a big management responsibility.
A lot of logistics.
A lot of work.
A lot of planning.
Kristen and I aren't that into work. So,
and plus we're also just running the whole business, which is his own job.
I'm already doing a lot of things. So I think because of the pandemic and everyone is now used to hanging out on Zoom, that it was a lower lift to when she said, hey, I wish we would start something for us to say, you know what, if you would like to be the person who kind of takes the initiative on that and leads it every month, that would be awesome, because we get to do what we've really wanted to do this whole time, which is to connect people who love our stuff to each other. Yes. It's not really about connecting to us. It's about connecting to the people who might make great friends that you just don't know exist because you have no opportunity to meet them. This is your opportunity to connect and hang out and chat with people who like to go deep and who want to foster connection with other people who want the same thing. It's a win-win.
I know a lot of my clients over the years have gone through coaching and they love the depth of the conversations they get to have and the things that we get into. And then they don't have a lot of people they can talk to about this kind of thing. And finding your tribe can be really hard in normal times. Trying to find a tribe now is next to impossible because we can't even go anywhere. And so that's a big part of what we want to do in this community is give you all an important connection point. Like, you're already here listening to this podcast. You're the kind of person who thinks about the depth of conversations that we're having here all the time in the Clarity on Fire community, but you don't know each other. So that's what we want to do. We want to introduce you to each other. That's the main point of this top, like this $6 tier.
Really, of us creating Patreon, period.
Really. I mean, yeah, exactly.
So Madison will be hosting it every month. And this month, we decided to start out with because I think instead of having a bunch of people show up on Zoom and not know what to talk about, it's good to have a discussion point. So we decided, or Madison suggested, and we agreed that it could be a book club conversation. And she's giving you choices. Mm-hmm. So you can either decide to read Untamed by Glennon Doyle. Like this choice because some of you have probably already read it, so you don't even have to do any homework before.
And we did a book club episode about it on the podcast.
Yeah.
So you also have that as a starting point of the conversation.
Yeah. And then we're also going to give them, or she's also giving you a choice of reading a fiction book, a work of fiction, which is not something that we've ever done a book club episode about, but I read almost exclusively fiction on my own, which is The Midnight Library, which some of you have probably heard of. I'll read the blurb from Untamed. You can read the blurb from The Midnight Library just to give you a little taste of which one you might want. You don't have to decide now, but you might want to start reading now. So
you might want to start reading now because the first book club hangout session is on March 28th. Well, I don't know what a meeting. That sounds lame too.
The first meetup, call it a meetup,
is on Sunday, March 28th.
At 1 p.m. Eastern.
At 1 p.m. Eastern. So you might want to, you got a few weeks.
Save the date.
To start reading a book, but we're gonna tease you to figure out which book you want to read if this sounds like something you want to join.
Got about a month to decide which book you want to read. And you don't even have to read all of it. Like, no one's going to care if you come and you haven't read the book either. Like, don't use that as your
excluded because of that.
But she's going to split up into breakout sessions based on which book you want to read. So, Untamed. In her most revealing and powerful memoir yet, the activist, speaker, best-selling author, and patron saint of female empowerment explores the joy and peace we discover when we stop striving to meet others' expectations and start trusting the voice deep within us. Obviously, we love this book. It is so important, and we did a book club episode about it about a year ago. I think it was May of 2020. So
I know this book has impacted a lot of my clients, made them think about things their entire lives.
I mean,
differently.
It cracked me open, and it has done the same for a lot of people I know. So you can't go wrong if you read that book.
Yeah. And if you would prefer fiction, The Midnight Library, here's a little blurb about that. Between life and death, there is a library. And within that library, the shelves go on forever. Every book provides a chance to try another life you could have lived, to see how things would be if you had made other choices. Would you have done anything different if you had the chance to undo your regrets? Say, I just started reading this book because if I'm not even part of,
you're not,
I'm not even joining the community, but I'm like, I want to read this book too. And so far it's very interesting. And I just got to the point where she's in the library. So we'll see how it goes. I'm going to read it along with some of you all.
Okay. So there will be a monthly community hang hosted by Madison. And
which may not always be a book club, but this time it will be.
Yeah. No, I'm not sold or it doesn't have to be a book club. It was just easy for the first one to be that because it was a nice point of entry.
Yes.
But I'm very interested in whoever joins helping form what it should look like going forward. If you guys have ideas about what you want to talk about or what kind of content you want us to create, that's kind of part of the beauty of Patreon is that your patrons can weigh in and help you decide or vote on what they're most interested in hearing from you. And then we can deliver.
Yeah, we're building this for you. So we want your input on what you want out of it.
Eventually, I might like there to be a separate forum where you guys can actually connect, but I'm not going to create that yet until I know what platform or what medium you would prefer that to be. So for now, I will have a post on Patreon where you can specifically for introducing yourself. So if you join, you can find the post that's introduce yourself and you can meet other people and chat and that kind of thing.
It's also an incentive to be an early Patreon member because you're going to get to help shape the foundation of how this works. So if there's a platform you really love or you really hate, you get to have a say in what we end up building for you as an early member.
Okay. And then, not to disappoint because you're like, wait, why isn't Rachel hosting their own community hangout every month? We are going to be hosting something. It's going to be every quarter. There's going to be a Rachel hangout. Okay. So never you fear. You will get Rachel, but just not as often as you might want them.
And we're open to formats for that too. We might do some Q&A. We might
it'll be on
topics.
Zoom, but it could be anything. It could be, hey, vote on what you want us to talk about, submit questions ahead of time. It could be like a live Dear Rachel situation. Mm-hmm. Could be whatever you want, but I think we're going to try to have one of those in April. So TBD on that. If you're a patron, you'll get notified. And I'm sure I'll remind you on the podcast too, because, of course, I'm going to try to sell it myself as often as possible. So
all of that is on the $6 tier.
Yeah. So to review on the $6 tier, you get everything that well, you get everything the $3 tier gets, which is just bonus content.
Mm-hmm.
And you get access to the monthly community hang, and you get access to Rachel's quarterly hang.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then
$6 a month, I think that's a pretty good deal.
Excuse me. That's like a tiny cover charge for a very high quality monthly meetup. And that's not including our hangout or our bonus content.
If you get a really fancy coffee, it's like $6.
Yeah. I mean, there's no reason why that should be outside anyone's realm. So I hope that you're excited about this. I'm really glad that Madison took the initiative. I'm also glad that someone is willing to do this every month, because I don't know that you and I have the bandwidth to do that every month. Also, part of the reason that I don't want Kristen and I to be there is because it would change the dynamic.
I feel like people would be looking to us to lead the conversations and be the experts on things. And we don't really want that for this community. We want you to connect with each other, not trying to just connect with us.
This isn't a workshop. It would turn into a Q&A or a workshop, which, okay, we will have a separate Q&A just with us.
We'll give you that too.
You can have that and you can hang out with us, but I think you should also be able to hang out with each other and be each other's experts instead of, I don't know, looking to us instead. I don't like the dynamic of that. I want the energy to be pure. So we can't be there if you want it to be all pure. Yeah. And also as an introvert, I mean, I would love to be there because I wouldn't feel like introverted among Clarity on Fire people. Yeah. But I just want you guys to be able to connect without me and Kristen getting in the way.
That's why we're giving you both. We're giving you a space just for the community, and then we're giving you a space with us.
Okay, so one other big point, almost forgot. If you sign up between now and next Friday, so Friday the 12th, so our first, so like within the next week and a half, we are going to enter everyone who signs up in that time into a little drawing, and we're going to give away 2 single coaching sessions for free. So
as a big thank you for being one of our...
for being an early adopter.
Exactly.
We will give away some free coaching sessions, and we'll email you if you are our winner, or we'll post on Patreon. How about that? Yeah, we'll post our winners on Patreon. So again, link to Patreon is in show notes. You can also just Clarity on Fire, Patreon, Google it, or patreon.com/Clarity on Fire. I just don't think you're going to be able to not find it if you're motivated to sign up.
Yes. One more small announcement about the podcasting schedule.
Yes.
So we're giving this new, we give you one thing and we take something else away.
Yeah, I don't like, this is a really good life lesson, first of all, that if you start something new, you probably have to stop doing something, or else where are you getting that space?
You can't keep adding indefinitely
to do that thing. So, not that this should be a huge shock, but we are going to go down to weekly podcasting. So no more Tuesday episodes.
They were only every other week.
And they were old episodes anyway.
So it shouldn't be a huge loss, I hope.
No. And that's it. Like, you're not going to get bonus content.
In exchange for a really big gain, I think.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like, I was going to say, maybe sometimes you'll get extra content. I'm like, no, you won't, unless you're on Patreon.
Right.
So if you want more than just the weekly podcast, you know, if you want a bonus episode, if we release one, then now our bonus content is going to be on Patreon.
Yes.
I guess another thing that I should say too is that we are open to the schedule of our community hang being at different times to accommodate the patrons who are there. So depending on who signs up, it might not have to be at 1 p.m. Eastern time every single time we do it. We chose to do that this time because we could accommodate
the most time zones. We try to choose a weekend when people are hopefully a little bit more available, then we don't have to worry about as many work schedules. Right. And we tried to choose 1 p.m. Eastern because that accommodates
Pacific time and Europe.
Yeah. I don't know what to do about the Australians and the New Zealanders.
I'm sorry I know we have a few of you guys, and you know, some are very loyal and I love you, and we can't make it work for every time zone. If we did an evening time US, that would leave out the Europe people. So we might do that, you know, to accommodate the Australians the next time or something, but it's going to depend on who's a Patreon member. If we've got like a bunch of, East Coasters and Australians and no Europeans, then I'm going to be like, sure, let's do it on a time that,
Exactly. Once again, the incentive of being the first in the door is you get to make some of the choices moving forward.
Or you get to influence the choices. Let's be clear. I make the choices.
Yes, but you do get a vote. This is a democracy, sort of.
I mean, yeah. What do you call a democracy that actually has a tyrant at the top?
It's kind of, it's a little bit like the British system. Like we're the queen, and
I have more power than the queen.
But maybe Madison is like the prime minister.
Okay, I mean, yeah, maybe. I don't mind the comparison to the queen. I just think I have more power than her in this situation.
More power than the queen.
In this context.
Oh man.
Okay, so
yes, this is our last Tuesday episode.
This is our last Tuesday episode.
But we'll still see you every single Friday, so don't worry about that.
Yeah.
And we'll see some of you in a little bit more of a close basis, more regular basis in Patreon.
Okay, so again, you can sign up anytime. I would recommend you sign up between now and Friday. Patreon is set up so that when you sign up, you get charged like the day you sign up, and then not again until like the first of the next month. So if you sign up on like the 28th, you're going to get charged the 28th and then again on the 1st. So just smarter to sign up on like now and then get a month's worth of access, So, okay. Sign up before the 12th so that you can get entered into our single coaching session drawing.
Yep.
And introduce yourself. I'll have
pick the book that you want to read.
Yep. I'll have a post about introducing yourself. We'll share the Zoom info for the community hang closer to the time of. Save the date. March 28th, Sunday.
1 p.m. Eastern.
1 p.m. Eastern. And we're really excited to do this. This is one of many things we are currently working on. Another reason why it wasn't easy for us to decide to do this and we had to, have someone kind of take the initiative is because we have a lot of other things we're working on.
We have a lot of other
and
things.
We'll tell you more about those things in due time.
Just know there's a lot going on behind the scenes.
But I'm excited that someone else is helping us bring this to life because I think a lot of people need this level of connection and I've wanted to give it for a long time and now it's happening.
I've also just wanted to introduce so many of my clients over the years.
I know.
Like, these people would love each other.
On like a single basis, but now I can introduce like in a larger group setting and you guys can kind of take it and run with it. And I don't know, have your own little side meetups and, like virtual coffees and stuff. I'm going to encourage that type of thing.
Please make this into whatever you want it to be. We are just creating the space for you to all connect and whatever happens from there, we're cool with.
All right. Well, enjoy. And we will be back on Friday with a new Dear Rachel.
Rachel.
Bye.
Bye.